Hi everyone, thank you for coming to my Vulnerably Badass YouTube channel. Today I want to talk about my walk in Shenandoah National Park. So as many of you already know, if you've been watching my YouTube, I've been into walking and long distance walking. And when I walk, I just don't want to walk on the street, but I really enjoy walking by the river, because river usually, if you walk along the river, you don't have any traffic lights that stops you, and just looking at the water make you feel better. And then not only river, but since I came here, or when I was in Korea too, I did walk in mountains or more trees, and here I've been walking along the river, and it's usually kind of woods around, Virginia or Washington DC or DMV area. Nice trails. So I've been walking on different trails, and because of that, I started listening to this book on Audible called A Walk in the Woods. And just simple curiosity, right? Because I've been walking in the woods. Like, yeah, I wonder what this is all about. And I started listening. And the author is Bill Bryson, who casually started doing the Appalachian Trail hike, the whole Appalachian Trail. And Appalachian Trail, like anything Appalachian, as a person who grew up in Japan and got educated up to high school in Japan, like, yeah, Appalachian Mountains, yes, I learned in world geography, and it's east side of US. And so far until now, until I moved to Washington DC, East Coast was something I was not familiar, because I stayed in Hawaii, and then I lived in San Diego for 4 years, and Midwest, Illinois for 4 years. So yeah, Appalachian Mountains, and something that I knew from my middle school education, but nothing really clicked. But the book was about Appalachian Trail, the AT. And I've been listening, and the trail starts from Georgia to, what was that? All the way north, Maine. And maybe the story, sorry, as usual, I forget the details, but it's about traveling from Maine to, Georgia to Maine. And I was like, okay, so East Coast. So it didn't really, ring the bell for me. But when I was listening, he started talking about Virginia. And he said something like, yeah, it's from 65 miles. I think he said 65 miles from Washington, DC. And I was like, I felt so close. Oh, so there's part of Appalachian mountain that's close to where I live. And I kept listening, and what he was saying was, he was talking about this national park called Shenandoah National Park, and he was talking about how beautiful it was. And he said in that book, it had been the best national park that he visited, as far as, if I remember correctly. So I was like, oh really, is that beautiful? And I wonder what it is. And I looked up, and yeah, it was, not really close, but close enough for me to drive. It took about, the Google map told me it takes about an hour and a half to drive up there. So it was Thursday morning when I was listening to the audible book, and Friday I had no work. So I was like, okay, let's go to the Shenandoah National Park and do some hiking, since he says it's beautiful. So that's Thursday I made up my mind, and Friday morning after I dropped my son off at his school, I drove hour and a half. Oh, before that I made a sandwich for myself, and I got ready to do my walk, and I dropped my son off, and I drove to the Shenandoah National Park front royal entrance. And at the entrance I knew that car was $35 or $30, and if you're gonna walk, sorry I forgot the details again, but $10 or $20. But I knew that with my military spouse ID I was able to go in and park for free, because I've seen my husband do that before, visiting national park, show military ID, and he got in for free. So I tried. I show my ID, and the park ranger at the gate window says, okay, military, active duty spouse. And she gave me this military pass for national parks. So I was really grateful for my husband's service, and so that I was able to use the benefit. This because visiting national parks are really important for me now. So I parked the car, and I got, before I got from the car, I received this map at the gate, Shenandoah National Park, and exploring, the map. And so the front royal, this is the Virginia, the whole Virginia map, I think. And it's the very north end of the entrance, very northern end, and by like maybe driving 5 minutes there's visitor center. So I parked the car at visitor center because they have facilities like bathroom, picnic tables, and things like that. So after driving an hour and a half, I wanted to use bathroom before I start my hike. So I thought starting at the visitor center is better. And then, and another thing that I found out as I planned was, okay, so Shenandoah National Park, but if you see this, there, the red line, it's called Skyline Drive. So it's something that I had heard from my husband before I moved. During fall, he was saying he went to Skyline Drive to see the leaves, and it was so beautiful, and when I come, we should go to Skyline Drive together or something. So it's such a long drive, but I realized after I arrived, like, oh, so Shenandoah National Park has Skyline Drive, so I was really happy. So the distance I drove was just a little bit, but I drove the skyline, and it was already beautiful. So I wish next time I want to drive farther down, but because my main purpose was to do my long distance walk, I just drove just 5 minutes to the visitor center and started my hike. And the hiking that I did wasn't actually Appalachian Trail, because I felt like, okay, I want to kind of start from visitor center, because this is my first time visiting this national park, and I don't know how serious it is or how bad, or so because I'm a really casual just walker, not even a hiker, I just use tennis shoes and really casual stuff, and I'm not trained or prepared. So I said, I'm gonna start with trail that's connected to the visitor center. And what I did was, there was a Giki Ridge trail that started from visitor center and all the way down to the front entrance gate. So that was about 12K. So I said, okay, let's do this. But one thing I was worried was in the book, uh, he was saying like encountering, possibility of encountering bears and stuff. So I was so worried. And at the visitor center, when I use bathroom, by the trash can, there was a sign, like, please don't throw away food because of bears or something. Like, I'm like, wow, it's so scary. Like, what happens if I encounter a bear? So when I started really going down the trail, I was seriously worried, especially because that day the weather was not sunny, but it was cloudy. So I didn't really get the clear, bright color of the greens, but it was like gloomy a little bit. So it felt like, oh, I don't know what's gonna happen now. What happens if the bear is here? So it was, I was a little bit scared, but it's just the northern end, and then I don't know, a lot of cars and many people. I mean, not so many, but still some people are walking on the trail or running. So after maybe 15 minutes, I was like, oh, this is gonna be okay. I'm gonna be okay. So what I did was I walked down to the front gate, and it was really nice, beautiful, and I enjoyed it. But what I didn't think about is it was the opposite. I was going down and I had to come up. So going down was easy, but after that I started to climb up the hill, and at two points or so I had to stop and then breathe and keep walking. So I think the walk, usually when I do 10K, it's 2 hours, and I did 12K. But I was expecting not up to 3 hours, but definitely more than 2 hours, so 2 hours and a half. I think we're 240 minutes. I don't remember the details again, but that's how much it took. On the trail, there were beautiful flowers, and also big mushroom by dead trunk, fallen trunk, tree, and nice rivers, small streams where I can hear the sound of water. It was really, really beautiful, and I enjoyed it. And so then I was intermittent fasting too, so I didn't eat until it was like what, almost 2:40 or something. So when I finished 2 hours and 40-minute walk, was it 1:40? I don't remember. And I sat at the picnic table and ate my sandwich. It tasted so good, and I was so hungry that I was almost swallowing, drinking my sandwich. I don't think I was chewing enough, but it felt so good to be surrounded by real, wild nature, and move your body for 2 hours and a half, and your heartbeat goes up, and you sit and eat, relax. And it's nice that you don't have to worry about bathroom is there. So then I drove back hour and a half to pick up my son. So it was perfect timing. I drop off my son, drive hour and a half, and walk for 2 hours and a half or almost 3 hours, and drive, eat, and drive back hour and a half, and ready to pick up my son. So it was amazing, and I really enjoyed it. I would definitely want to go back. And next time I want to try the Appalachian Trail, AT, next time, the very northern end. And I want to see. It's gonna be just part of what the book talks about, but I want to experience myself. So yeah, I'm so amazed at how I'm really into being in the woods or being in the nature. Before I didn't even imagine myself going on trail by myself and spending what 2-3 hours in the nature alone. But it's been my really passionate hobby recently, and I will let you know about my next adventure in Shenandoah National Park or Appalachian Trail. So please look forward to my update. And my question to you is, when do you go into nature and what do you do there? What do you enjoy in the nature? And thank you for coming to my YouTube channel, and see you next time.